In today's show, we have a multi-topic episode where first we discuss, does modern medicine erode natural selection? And then we discuss, should we remove the word man from the English language?
And now, the TNT Talk Show, daring to go where other podcasts fear to tread.
Hello, I'm Tony Fasulo and I share the stage with my esteemed friend and colleague, Tayo Boya. Tayo, hello my friend once again. I hope you're keeping safe and well.
Yeah, what the hell, Tony? What you gonna do, eh?
You've not been too great today, have you? I'll be honest. I don't want to sort of use my upbeat persona on you today because you've had a few bits of not great news.
Yeah, these things happen.
Hmm.
I'd for all the lucky ones die first.
Oh, come on. It can't be that bad. You got to enjoy life while you're here.
You should find yourself. Not that I'm cursing you, but you should find yourself in a zombie apocalypse, and then you really believe me that the lucky ones die first.
Indeed. Okay. Now I'm not gonna. Well, am I gonna ask you to say hi to the audience? Do you want to say a quick hi?
Completely up to you, pal. What do you feel? You feel like putting your
I don't know where.
toe into the maelstrom.
I don't know whether you're up to saying hello because you've not been at your
Hello,
best
audience.
today.
How are you?
Okay. We've left it there. Let's leave it there. That's fine.
There was this blind man. There was this blind man, a hopeless skirt chaser, who walked into our local fish market here in Northampton, and I was standing by the door. And he walked in and sort of went, "Oh, hello, ladies."
It's horrible. It's horrible.
You asked for it.
Let's move on with the show. Now, before we continue with the topic of today, I'm going to ask again our listeners and watchers to, if they'd be kind enough to give us their feedback on the show. What do they like about it? Do they dislike this section at the beginning with Tayo's awful jokes? Say yes.
Ain't gonna make a jot of difference, guys.
And in particular, any topics that you favour or others that you dislike, we value your comments, and certainly put comments on whatever platform you're on. We will certainly pick those up. So please continue to put any feedback. They are well received. Anyway, let's move on with today's show. Now, in today's show, we've got another multi-topic episode, depending, obviously, time permitting, of course. And so we'll start with the first one, which again is one of Tayo's, and it's, does modern medicine erode natural selection? So Tayo, do you want to kick things off? Why on earth did you come up with this topic?
Yeah, stumble across it as I usually do, just sort of trawling the internet or something, and I came across this rather interesting idea. Someone was saying, now that we have cesarean sections, prevalent in our society, that we can deliver children, birth children, whatever the verb is. Now that we're using cesarean sections, we are actually bringing forth babies with bigger heads, because that's the problem. It's, quite a lot of the time, the problem is that the baby's head is too big to pass through the natural passage, and it has to come out through a cesarean section. Now, in the old days, that would have killed baby and mother, but now these babies are being born, and they've got bigger heads, and presumably, therefore, bigger brains, I suppose. And does that mean that we're getting more intelligent? Will that lead eventually to more intelligence and with bigger and bigger heads? which is very interesting because the person whose article I was reading was wondering what would happen if there was a civilizational shift, for instance, as a result of a pole shift, say thousands of years from now, when humans had the classic alien look, small bodies, huge heads, but all the children were being born artificially. And then we lost our technology overnight. What would happen? So it was just an interesting concept that it's all very well when things are working properly, but in a future dystopian, dystopian epoch, what would that mean for humans? And then I suppose in the comment section, someone was like, "That's nonsense." Yes, our modern medicine is altering slightly Darwinian pressures or selection pressures on the Darwinian evolution of our species, but not to the extent that it's going to be deleterious or dangerous to the race. So it was just, sort of up and down sort of thing. I just thought, yeah, it's been a good topic to talk about.
Okay. I mean, it's an interesting one.
Mm.
And yes, if say the female was slight and the baby was big, then there are problems, and there's also problems with breech births, etc., where the baby's head isn't facing downwards, facing the other way. And in the past, clearly, a lot of mums needlessly died as well as their children. I mean, sometimes the children did survive, but the mothers did not. And
yeah, if you're the brutal type, mercilessly logical, I suppose you would kill the mother and save the child. Because you
which is probably what happened in some cases, for sure. Because then that they would slit the mother, because they did do it, they'd realise that was a problem, slit the mother, take out the child would survive, but the mother would then unfortunately bleed to death, which isn't a great way of being. And there was a lot of death in childbirth, whether it was due to just this or it was just due to infection or whatever it was.
Yeah, they didn't know about germs, did they? And they didn't wash their hands and things. Until some poor woman who was accused, if I remember rightly, she was accused of witchcraft simply because she was saying people should wash their hands, and she saved a lot of children. Now, this was in medieval England, if I remember. I am mentally trying to recall the video I was watching. I think it was about sort of medieval England. And instead of thank you, she was accused of witchcraft simply because a lot of children survived. And it's like, I don't understand the logic. If she's doing good stuff, that's good witchcraft, isn't it? But no.
Well, it's just witchcraft. So if people didn't understand clearly why she was having so much success by just using simple, cleanliness techniques of washing her hands, and that resulted in less germs, in turn, the children would survive and so would the mothers. Hence, she was classed as being demonic or a witch because... But then that's the problem with lack of intelligence in many aspects. If we don't understand something, we're afraid of it in a lot of cases, rather than question it and think, well, what's going on here? But in the past, people didn't have critical thinking, did they? I mean, that's pretty...
They still don't.
No, I know they don't, but...
in a few minutes.
but in the majority of cases now, there are, if you're serious about looking at information, you put an essence of criticality against it to check whether it's true.
I think I'm going to challenge that notion in a few minutes. In our next topic. Maybe even in this one.
No, the next topic, if we get to it, hopefully we should. It is an interesting one, but we won't spill the beans yet. But the mortality rate.
The hint is in the title, Tony.
I haven't given the title out. I haven't given it out.
It will be before the press play.
Well, some people fast forward it, don't they? So there you go. When they get through the episode. But But anyway, you're right. It is at the beginning. But yeah, now obviously going back to our topic, prevalent of people having more hygiene. There's more practices where we're sterile conditions when people are having childbirth and more modern technology. Granted, that has helped with modern childbirth, and obviously effective cesarean with effective post-operative care has ensured that many mothers are saved from in the past dying. They can now give birth.
It's not the mothers that's important, Tony. It's that the children, the mother passes on her genes successfully. Because if the children died, then that selective pressure wouldn't be there. Or rather, the
Yes.
selective pressure would be effective, and those genes would not pass on to the next generations. But because we are saving the offspring, we are countering the selective pressure. That's what it's all about. So the survival of the mother is a nice to have.
Is nice, yeah.
Or she lives and gives birth to other children.
Yes,
and in that
which
case,
is what.
Then that becomes an evolutionary part of the evolutionary process. So
what do you? I mean, so do you feel therefore that the fact that modern medicine has actually affected the evolutionary facet, or whatever the word is, it's affected it negatively, or is it?
Absolutely.
Okay, why? Why did you come to that conclusion?
Well, because according to evolutionary theory, what we're doing is the selective process roots out the unfit, survival of the fittest. And what modern medicine is doing is coming along and saying, no, we will play God, or Mother Nature. We'll play Mother Nature, and we will protect these unfit individuals by the power of our ingenuity. So what we are doing is we are countering the suppressive nature of the selective pressure, and we are enabling the unfit to live, not just live, thrive, and pass on their genes. So
that needs evidence, because you're now almost implying by that because evolution, if it was left to its own devices, those mothers that couldn't give birth and the child died would mean that child in some way was inferior to a child that was born via a natural selection. But looking at the world at large, there's many people that are born naturally, and clearly they're not an advantage over anyone else. I mean, you're still talking in a minority of people.
It's not just the birthing process, Tony. It's look at those gentlemen and I use the word loosely. Look at those gentlemen on the MTV program Jackass.
Okay.
They made it all the way up into adulthood. But looking at the things they do, the mannerisms and their apparent levels of intelligence, you would have expected that at some point in their childhood, Darwinian events would have removed them from the gene pool. Instead of which, not only have they survived, but they are thriving. They made some money, I suppose, maybe a lot of money in Hollywood. So they are going to attract mates, and then they're going to pass on the stupid genes, if you like, to a whole bunch of people. All you have to do is just look around and just imagine the conversations that we're going to have later on, and you realize that the number of idiots who are alive now is unnaturally high. We're swamped by them, basically. It's a miasma. It's a farrago.
But is that due to that we have messed up the natural selection process?
Yes, these idiots should have died when they were young.
But okay, let's go back.
Let's go
back a bit. Okay.
Lethal germs.
No, because they could have been born. They could have bought. If we go back to their line, no one in their family tree has had cesarean birth. So what does that mean?
Why are you fixating on cesarean birth? I just said
No, but
These are the
if
kind of
natural
children
selection.
who in the old days would have eaten mud,
Yeah.
right?
Okay.
Caught typhoid and then died. But nowadays, you eat mud, you're rushed off to the hospital, you're given antibiotics, you survive, and when you should have died, and then you give birth to even more stupid children. This is what I'm trying to say. It's not all about cesareans. It's idiots who don't look both ways as they cross the street because they're too stupid.
Yeah,
And then they
but
get hit by a car,
okay.
and then they should die. But then we come along.
So are you then
then
saying, or almost implying, that previously the generations were far more intelligent? All we've still got that same intelligence, except it's diluted because there are more people on the planet. Remember, we've had, since the advent of new technology and medicines, whatever, our, our the number of people on the planet has risen astronomically.
Mhm.
I mean, in the First World War, we barely had 1.5 billion people on the whole planet.
Mhm.
So in 100 years, that's gone up to 8 times, and that's predominantly due to modern medicine. So you're not diminishing, you're not naturally selecting and only keeping the right sort of people. You're letting everyone through. That you're going to have a disproportionate of idiots, but you're also going to have more intelligent people that would have died had they not had the medicine to keep them going. So it's unless we go and drill down somehow and find out what what kept people alive and were they foolish, then we can look at that. But I don't think there's enough information to actually make that sort of a statement.
This is due to incorrect analysis. Now, if you think about it, the more intelligent a person is, or a couple, the more intelligent the couple, the fewer children they are likely to have. Because the couple is intelligent enough to know that they have to invest time and energy in each child. It's the idiots who have large families, and this has always been the case.
Well, no, that's not true, because
No,
in the
it is true.
past, you used to have large families because of the risk of them dying, and you needed someone to look after you in an old age, and you used to rely on your children to do that. Nowadays, that's no longer necessary because the dynamic of the family has changed, because now you can live longer and there's systems and things in place to enable you to be looked after, not necessarily by your own children. So
what I'm saying is, what I'm saying is that when you take the population of the globe and not just the more affluent West, that actually in Africa, where I spent a lot of time on places like that, actually, the better educated the couple, the fewer children they are likely to have. The less educated the couple, the more children they're likely to have. Last time I was in Nigeria, the gentleman who drove us from the airport was known to us, sort of like does that kind of thing for us all the time. And I was just chatting away with him, and it turned out he had 54 children.
54 children.
Children, well, I suppose that'd be children and grandchildren.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but
54 is still a lot.
it's a village, man, basically. Okay. And I got my daughter. So I mean, whose genes, are going to flourish in the future? Not mine.
Yeah, but the point is, that's making it almost like a derogatory comment, and you're making an assumption up front. You didn't know anything about this person other than that story that you knew he had 54 children and grandchildren. So you made an assumption based on
I
a little
didn't know
bit of
that the income
information to
that
say
he
he must
has.
be stupid to have this many kids and grandkids.
Well, if you've got that many kids and grandkids, and the kind of income that he must be having, you're not looking after them all, are you? So we can
How
say
do you know what income he was on? You're making again an
he's a
assumption.
cab driver.
And I know a business owner who drove me in the United States who was very well off but had a
in
cab.
Nigeria. Yeah,
Okay.
that's the United States. So, but this is Nigeria, man. He's a cab driver in Nigeria. He might have businesses and whatnot, but he's
Yeah,
still a cab
exactly.
driver.
It was relative.
and I'm going to follow Occam's razor here.
Okay. I'm
Let's be
still
on.
I'm still unsure about this
Well, I didn't come
idea.
to this. I didn't come to this topic so armed with stats and things. So I didn't really
Okay.
expect this level of dispute. To be honest with you, I'm sure I could start clicking away on my trusty old browser here and find you some of these data, because these are things that I come across and I don't remember the sources because I just read them and I forget where I picked them up from.
Okay.
But definitely, I think it's indisputable that it's the number of children is inversely proportional to the educational and therefore I would say intellectual
I think
background.
okay. There's possibly a correlation there. I wouldn't say that's the reason for sure, but there's an element of that perhaps. But again, that doesn't mean that because you have a mother and father who aren't the most intelligent, that doesn't mean that the child then is also not intelligent. That's not how it works. With thought and brain and intelligence, there doesn't seem to be a correlation directly with your parents. It doesn't. Physical attributes, yes, but not mental correlation. It's not quite the same.
I'd like to challenge that.
Well, otherwise you'd have a line of geniuses, and that's not the case. You have the odd genius pop up anywhere, and some are in families of working class people. So that throws that logic out the window.
But no, you said it and you made a claim, and you just from making the claim, you just assume that I've accepted it, and you just want to joke on and say it throws it out the window.
But that's my opinion.
I'm not accepting it at all, and I will be able to find information to just poo-poo that straight away. Right now, I'm sending you via WhatsApp an article on Wikipedia called "Fertility and Intelligence," and in the first paragraph, I believe it's the first paragraph. Yes, it says that. Sure. Oh, okay.
And our listeners here are wondering what you're doing.
Well, what I'm doing is I'm reading this article. It's called "Fertility and Intelligence," and it's in Wikipedia, the free encyclopedia. And I'm just trying to figure out which. Okay, in the first paragraph, in the subsection "Early Views and Research," it says there's a negative correlation between fertility and intelligence.
Well, that line above that in the first bit, it says, however, genetic studies have shown no evidence for dysgenic effects in human populations. So it's actually contradicting what it's saying further down.
Wikipedia is such a rubbish. No, that's not what that dysgenics means there. So no, that's not right. It's the one that's later. It says that is not clearly supported by the limited data that they collected. But I believe that later on it comes back. Anyway, there's this. It's not as straightforward as you make out.
No, I'm not saying it is, but you're making it out like, you get two intelligent people, you're going to get an intelligent product.
No. It's tendencies, traits, isn't it? That it's a tendency that when you look at the overall population, yes, I would be right that more intelligence parents would produce more intelligent or more intelligent children.
Is that really true, or is that opportunity? Is that more opportunity where you generally have intelligent, successful? Well, exactly. You have intelligent parents who obviously then are more successful in society, earning more in respect to everybody else, and then can afford to bless the children with better schooling and education. So in turn, that will then enable someone who's maybe pretty average to excel. Whereas somebody who could be intelligent and the parents are not that affluent is unable to invest in the child in a manner that a wealthy couple could, And so they have to make it through the system like anybody else. And the intelligence that they possess will shine through in places, but it isn't being, what's the word I'm looking for? It isn't being empowered or encouraged or enhanced because the schooling is just average, not superior. I don't know. I mean, I don't want to degrade schooling because it's not my place to do that. But you know, if you're affluent, we're going down a different line here. But if you're affluent, you have more opportunity and go to the better schools, better resources, better education. It seems to be that's more of a correlation as opposed to where the I don't know, the IQ of the family members produce an offspring with the same or higher IQ.
Well, I thank you for inventing that brand new argument out of nowhere, except for the positions. And I'll get around to it in a second. Meanwhile, I would like to draw your attention to that article that I sent to you.
Okay.
Fertility, again for our listeners, fertility and intelligence on Wikipedia. And there is a subsection says later research. And it says in a 1988 study, Rutherford and Sewell, don't know, examined the association between the measured intelligence and fertility of over 9,000 high school graduates in Wisconsin in 1957 and confirmed the inverse relationship between IQ and fertility for both sexes. So there we are.
Okay.
Yes. Right.
So
Now,
I'll carry on reading that, and it says if children had, on average, the same IQ as their parents, IQ would decline by 0.81 points per generation.
I think they meant fertility, to be honest, because that's what we're measuring. Fertility. I don't know why I said IQ. I should go in and edit it, but I'm not going to bother. There we are.
Okay, that's interesting. No, it is IQ.
I know it said IQ. I'm saying that it should be fertility. That's what we're talking about. That fertility declines. That's yeah.
Well, that's a different thing, isn't it?
Fertility. I might after this. I might submit. I'm not going to edit it myself, but I'll submit a thing and say that should have been, and then it's like get it corrected.
Okay. So
that's what's good about Wikipedia. You spot things. You can actually go in and say, "Is this what you really meant?"
Yes, it's a collective, isn't it? But you have to be mindful of who can and who can't correct it. Before it used to be anyone could actually amend Wikipedia, which was a shame because you would get some really outlandish things. But now there's better. You can still edit it, but you need to have built up some kudos, so to speak. But anyway, we're digressing on this topic. But this itself is not enough to sway me into thinking that.
I didn't expect it, would you?
I don't think you're convinced in truth.
I am. No, I'm no. Excuse me. I am. I believe that. I mean, anecdotally, just my friends, myself, my society, both of them, both UK and Nigerian. I look around and I see that the less intelligent, less educated, less well-schooled people have more children. If you go into I suppose it's going to offend people who live in vans and mobile homes and things. But if you go there, they've got loads of kids. But
that doesn't set IQ level for a.
I'm not saying it does. Are you misunderstanding my argument?
I think it's like your genetic variations. What in the gene pool? What you've got too many. What are you saying? Too many dumb people?
Yes, we've got too many dumb people. Now, what I'm saying is that.
And why would they have died off?
More children.
Okay.
Dumb people have more children. That's proposal number one. Dumb people have more children than clever people, if you want to put it that way. I don't like that word. Okay, but clever people, okay? And the article that I submitted to you, I believe, tends to back me up on that. Okay? So that's argument number one, that dumb people have more children than people who are not dumb.
Okay. Well, maybe
Okay.
you could statistically prove that
Hmm.
if you want to quantify people. You want to say maybe people not as well off have larger families than people who are more affluent.
No, no. People who are affluent can have a lot of children. I forget the name of the actor, but he's dropped kids all over the place. Well, Eddie Murphy is an example, isn't he? He's got a very large number of children.
So what
Um,
does that not throw your argument out the
no, it's
window?
you who brought up the issue of affluence. My argument has got
Okay.
nothing to do with affluence. I'm just saying that, it's not
Modern
your argument, not
medicine.
necessarily true. My thing is got to do with intelligence and the number of children that an intelligent person and his wife, if they're both intelligent, would want to have.
But you're making, again, it's making an assumption
Hmm.
that the offspring, the children, will be as intelligent as
I've
their
not,
their
I've not
parents.
reached that. I've not said anything about that. Proposal number one says the dumber both parents are, the more children they will tend to bear. That's it. That's the full stop. That's what proposal number one says.
Okay, but that doesn't then mean the the intelligence level
Hmm.
of the children are linked to the intelligence level
I've not
of
said anything about it. I just
yes.
said that the number of that if you're that dumber parents have more children. That's all I'm saying. I don't
Okay,
know why you moving to the next. Why are you putting that corollary into my mouth? I'm
because
not
it's
saying.
this topic that we're talking about. You're saying that because of modern medicine, that's allowing lesser, I don't know, lesser capable people from being born.
These dumb parents wouldn't have made it to the point where they flood, infest mankind with
So
their
you,
low
you're
quality
saying,
offspring
so you're saying
if
they shouldn't have this many kids because had it
they
been
would have
natural,
died. That without modern medicine, they would have died.
that's not
Hmm.
strictly true. I'm not
Well,
sure
I
that's
mean,
true.
not 100% of the cases,
No.
no, but enough of them would have died that we wouldn't have this problem that we have now, where where individuals claim they can't tell men from women, for example. I mean, that's not actually a sign of great intelligence if you don't know what a man is or a woman.
I think that's not somebody being truthful. That's just somebody trying to avoid a sticky situation. That's, I mean, if you took them off the record and asked them straight, they would be able to tell. They're only doing it because they happen to be on a platform which has influence. So they're being mindful. Either they're a politician or they're a member of the entertainment community. They're a celebrity or something. They're not going. They've got to be mindful of who they alienate. So they're going to be a bit not withdrawn, but they're going to be careful with the words they choose, not to alienate anybody. So it doesn't mean that they genuinely can't tell. They just don't want to be answering that question in a public platform.
The people that they're alienating are the dumbos that I'm talking about.
Alien, go on, explain.
Well, you said they don't want to alienate some people. Those people are the idiots that should have died in childbirth. It's not in childbirth, sorry, in childhood. Those are the incompetent, illiterate, well, semi-literate, befuddled buffoons who would have suffered attrition through Darwinian pressure, evolutionary, selective pressure in the normal course of events. But unfortunately, modern science kept them alive. Now, you start practicing some of Tayo's proposals, which is you listen to a very stupid person talking and go, oh, you made it through childhood. Here's a little pinprick that will put you and solve our problem for us. Put you away and solve our problem. So, absolute stupidity. Here's a little injection. Bye
I'm not even going to answer
bye.
that.
So
I
that
think
would,
we're descending into
well,
ridiculous. I mean,
Sorry?
come on, who makes that decision? No, that's not something, and I disbelieve
with
that personally with a passion, actually.
2 or 3 episodes, I don't even know if it's 2 or 3. A few episodes ago, I shared with you an objective standard of stupidity. Do you remember?
Yes.
And the nice thing about it is that it's objective. So we can objectively listen to what a person has said and say, you know what? That's objectively stupid. Goodbye. You are the weakest link. And off you go.
I don't believe that is the answer, and I don't believe that anyone should decide that.
Let us take your statement just now and subject to this objective test of mine.
No, I personally believe that your IQ doesn't determine where you are in life. It
No, it
can
doesn't.
do, but
No, it doesn't. Well, what's that got to do with anything?
no, but you're saying a dumb individual. So dumb is measured on an IQ scale. So, I don't believe that, because it doesn't matter where you are in the IQ scale. You can make a difference.
That as your first good counter argument, and I think I'll adjust my meaning just because of it. Because I absolutely think. I mean, we know that from my objective standard of stupidity, that intelligent people with high IQs can be stupid too.
Yeah, of course it can. Exactly.
So,
no one's immune to stupidity.
Right. So
we're a couple of numpties on this show, so that says it all.
Well, yes, but we're not. The nice thing about us is that we admit it. No one is pretending to be something else here, man. And I remember one episode. This is a quick aside. I think the audience would like it. I remember one episode when we were talking, and it was not so long ago, and we actually said, by the way, audience, if you know what we're talking about, would you let you remember? Do you remember that one?
I do.
If you know what we're talking, because we were looking for something, we said, we don't know what it is, but if you know, would you please tell us what we're talking about?
That sums us up completely. So
we don't know what the hell we're talking about, but if you do, please share it with us.
Oh dear.
That's the kind of open honesty, you can't beat that kind of honesty.
Indeed. Anyway, come on, let's sum up, because I want to cover more topics in this show. So what's your view on this particular topic?
All right, let me be honest. What the hell are we talking about again?
Does modern medicine erode natural selection?
It does, but not. I mean, it does. It does. Is it necessarily bad? No, because for example, when we get there, well, I don't think we're there yet. We could use gene therapy to eliminate genetic defects. So imagine a world where people are not born with muscular dystrophy and things like that. Now, who's going to argue and say that's bad? So it's not necessarily a bad thing. And I think it can be a good thing. It's just that, as with any tool, it can be misused, and we have to be careful. That's all.
Okay. I'm not going to add any more to that particular subject. I think we've covered it enough. Right, let's move on to another one. This one's a little bit different to the first topic. And this is, again, one that Tayo's brought up, but it seems to have been very popular in the media of late.
Yeah.
Should we remove the word man from English? Tayo.
This is what I'm talking about. This is what, see, when you hear someone in all seriousness go on a talk show or on a TV program, a news program, and in all seriousness say, yeah, we should remove the word man, because to some feminists, the word man is offensive. No one says, if you're offended by the word man, you should be euthanized because your father was a man.
Yes.
And let's just take it from there. We're just like, yeah, but no. And it seems to be an infestation of stupidity that's pouring out from universities, because I believe it was Purdue University. I don't know where Purdue University is. I don't know if it's America or Canada, but I know it's North American continent somewhere. Purdue, Purdue.
Okay.
And they were the ones who published this writing guide that I believe that students have to abide by. And the writing guide said, please do not use the word man. So in any form. So human should be replaced with, I think it's people, and male man with male person, or and things like that. Now, my initial instinct was, confound these idiots and may they die of something horrible. But I started thinking about it and thinking to myself, I, as a teacher, I'm surrounded by female staff, and it could be that eventually the teaching is a profession that would be seen as being, in the majority case, would be staffed by women, and then maybe some form of word would arise. So for the purpose of this conversation, it could be fem teach or something, or teach fem. I'm just coining this word just to show that a word could arise that has like the feminine thing in it, and then a student could say to me, or so I'll say about me, oh, fem teach boya, fem teach boya, blah blah blah. I'll be offended. I'll be like, hold on, I'm not fem. Do you see?
Yeah.
So from that point of view, I thought, yeah, actually, if you are a woman, why would you want to be addressed as in some profession as a man? And I could see their point of view, and I think I am willing to take that on board. So there are situations where you think some professions, well, like I said, male man, and if she's delivering male, she's not a male man.
Yeah.
But when you go too far, it's when you say male woman is offensive because it's woo man.
I know,
That's
woman. Well, woman. What is that all about? How are we going to refer to a female then? Female is female. I mean, where does this stop? It's this stupid. I
Well,
mean, I'm going to give you. Can I give you a subset of words that would have to change? Just some, right? How would they change to? You come up with some suggestions, right? Manifold. Okay.
Well, that's not that man, though, is it?
No, man. Okay, but you're saying as part of our topic, should the word man be removed from English?
Okay, so that they don't mean Manhattan.
How do you know they don't mean?
They don't mean man, because I listened to the woman who was explaining.
So anything to do with man in description of a human,
yes,
that's when it's got to be removed, not when it appears anywhere
else.
Not
homophones of man, no.
So they're not offended with Manchester, for instance?
No.
Or Manila?
No.
Or Germany?
No. They're not. Because that's not the humanoid. That's not man humanoid.
Okay, what about something slightly different? Isle of Man.
That's two N's anyway.
Isle of Man doesn't know. It's not. No,
it's not two N's.
Just one. Isle of Man. It's an
island
of men. I mean, that's basically what that is. Isle of Man. What are you going to do? Isle of person?
Is it? If it means Isle of Man, then what the woman was saying is that in that case it should become Isle of person.
Isle of people.
Isle of people. There we go. People Isle.
Cayman Islands?
No, again, K-man. Does that a humanoid man? Or is it the homophone that just sounds
So they want to partially remove the word man from the English language because of, what's their justification again?
Some people are offended.
Offended? Yes. If you could elaborate what that actually entails.
Okay, so apparently someone caused chaos. His name seems to be Nick, I think, Buttigieg or something like this. And he's an American government official in charge of
Nick
transportation.
Buttigieg or something. Buttigieg. Yes, I know. He's spelled strange surname. Like yeah.
And he apparently caused a lot of confusion because something happened when he changed the rules for NOTAM, which is airline lingo for notice to all airmen. and he wanted to go out as notice to all air people or something.
Okay.
And in the change, there was some kind of problem with the computers, and it grounded half of the United States for I don't know, a day or two or whatever it was. And people were like, "Well, I didn't get to where I was going because this clown wants to change.
Change the
No,
words.
no time to know, you know." But I was thinking about it. Notice to all air men, and I'm a woman. I do think I'd be like, you know what? I'm an air woman, not an air man. So why don't we just change notice to all pilots, which would have been like fine, you know? It's been a bit sensitive and overly sensitive. The chairman, when we first started saying we're going to say chairperson or we're just going
Yeah.
to say chair, my dad and I were incensed. We're like, this is ridiculous. What the hell? Now I hardly care. It's been donkey's years we've been saying chairperson, and now I guess I'm okay with it. But yeah, the only thing that offended me was, may I address the chair? No, I'm not a chair. That's equally stupid. So may I address the chairperson? I also felt, why don't we just say chairwoman when we're addressing a woman and chairman when we're addressing a man? But of
Well,
course, at the time, we didn't know we'd get to the point where we couldn't tell which was which.
so to keep it safe, chairperson. So we're making every
Another way
word
to keep it safe is
neutral.
to elect me as prime minister. I think you'll know that in very short order it'll be pretty safe. You'll know what you're looking at, pal. And I was thinking about this the other day, by the way, if you don't mind a quick aside.
Yeah, go on.
This is Russia now banning change of gender, I think, in their passports or something. You can't change your gender in your passport. And a lot of people were complaining about it. And I thought to myself, you can actually just kill off the argument by saying, we're not even going to have gender in our passports. What we're going to have is your sex chromosome descriptor. So if your sex chromosomes are XX, that's what goes in your passport, because that never changes. If it's XY, it never changes. If it's XXY, it never changes. So whatever it is, put that in there, and then it's just accurate for the human.
That's
And
interesting. That's
yeah.
interesting, actually. Yeah, that's actually quite a good solution. Now you're saying it like that.
This is where you come to when you want solutions. This is when you're all confused. Just come to Tayo. Tayo will set you straight, man. Tayo will set you straight.
So it's yeah, because at the end of the day, what is the purpose of the gender in a passport anyway? It's for identification purposes, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
So that identification is narrowing things down to identify somebody.
Yeah.
So
what is it? Things that don't change. There's a word for it. In something. Immutable traits. So color of eyes, height.
well, color of eyes can change.
Well, naturally.
No, well,
Exactly.
there are some illnesses that affect people that they have a different colored.
Well, that would just lead to issues
iris.
at the border if you had to that, because it says blue eyes. I'm gonna look at you, and you've got some other color of eyes.
Well, the whole point is it only to do with passports that this is the issue? Because if we had a biometric type system, then there's no need to have a passport. You can have an ID, fingerprint, eye, and then there's no need to know what gender you are. We just know from that.
No,
That
it's
makes
nice
you
if you're
unique.
taking part in a terrorist attack, and people, the security forces are sent in. They're going, and you're looking for a fingerprint like this, and the thing is like, what?
So it's for identification for us to make
So
it
it'd be
easier
nice
for
if
us.
it goes, look, man, what the hell am I looking for? You're looking for somebody who's 5 foot
Well,
tall, a
but
man with this and with
but
that.
going back to your logic, in the passport, if it had the chromosomes, someone could have had a sex change. And so your argument in this very narrow
No, it's nice.
example.
It's nice because you're still looking for an XY, because you see some bearded person in skirts, You know that that's a
No,
man.
but that's
You
extreme.
know,
But
that's an XY.
if you
Okay.
see a female
Mm.
and you believe she's a female and she looks like a female, but
No,
happen
they
to
seldom do.
no, they
Because
don't actually.
I think
That's not true. That's actually
I'd
not
like you
true.
to test me. I've passed all sorts of people's tests. There's something about it. I just look and go, no, 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 sorry. I might have false positives where I think a woman is a man, but I'm pretty 100% that that's a man, not pretending to be a woman. And
Okay.
I'm happy for you to set up the test, and I'll take
So
it.
is the point of this identification just for our benefit for a quick assessment rather than, I mean, that could be removed in all fairness, because you could just say someone with blue eyes. I mean, okay, um, the hair color is what you are now in a passport, is it not? Is that in there?
I don't think it's in there. Just take a picture.
Is it eyes only? So it's
Eyes are in
eyes.
there.
Okay, so
Yes.
air's not in there. I'm
Hmm.
trying to think what was in the passport actually as an identifier.
Height,
Height? Don't
height,
people get smaller?
not so that you could like lose a foot or something. I
No,
mean,
I
old
agree, but
age, and you when you renew your passport, it's always within 10 years, isn't it?
yes.
So within that 10 years, I suppose they've worked it out that it's not going to change that much over that period of time.
Okay. Now, well, okay, we're focusing on passport here. That seems to be just one identifier, and that is that causing people an offence that they want to be described in that as male or female?
Yes,
Is
it's
this
causing offense because they want to be described as their gender,
now?
their preferred gender thingy, pronoun, whatever, you know. That's what they want. So if they identify, if a man says he's a woman, then he wants to be identified as a woman. But my way is just like your XY, kindly move on.
So there's no reference to male, female, or other in the passport. It's just your brown eyes, 5'7", that sort of identifier, as opposed to gender.
Correct.
Okay, that would certainly help in that respect, but
And
where
then we
was
can have
this?
boys' schools. Because I'd like to start an all boys school. Well, right now I'm just wondering if it's possible. I did say I'll go and speak to a solicitor about it. I haven't quite gotten around to it yet,
What
and
do you
I'm
mean
not
by
really
old
certain.
boys' school? What do you
I
mean?
just want boys. I think that boys are put upon in our school system, and I just want an all boys school. I think boys would thrive a lot better if they were boys taught by men.
Well,
Because
there is funny you should
I've been
say that. There is
observing.
evidence. There is evidence to show that in a lot of homes, because a child growing up does need two role models, um, in growing up, and there is some evidence to show that they need male and female. Although
Yeah,
I will get chastised for that, where some people have been brought up perfectly well with one, which is absolutely fine. I'm
well,
not saying it's wrong.
they claim
No, it's
they've
not
been brought up.
claim.
No,
It's
no, no.
just
Until we develop objective standards of measurement, it's a claim. You see, some person claims I was brought up and I'm fine. It's like, well, let's test that, and then we find out that he's chasing she. Why am I saying he? That she is. I don't know. I don't know what I can say. That she's doing something off. That the rest of us would go, well, we don't think that's okay. So it's all very well to say I'm okay, but if you don't mind, we will
But what does
develop
okay
objective
mean? Let's
standards of
be honest.
measurement.
Everyone is not okay. Everyone has got something in the background, so that's irrelevant. But let's
Yeah,
move.
I might
Let's
like chocolates, but that
no, I
doesn't
know.
make me kind of weird, man. Okay, I mean, some of you people out there, you give me the creeps, man. You really do. So this is why I've asked you privately, even. You know, is that how you humans are? And you said yes.
I know. Okay, but let's move back to the topic we want to discuss about removing the word man
Mm,
from the English language, because I was under the impression the change that's being asked is literally remove the word man
No,
throughout anything.
no.
But it's just when you're referencing the genders.
Yes, mankind. And that's an interesting one because although I agree with notice to all airmen should be changed to notice to all pilots, I disagree with mankind because that kind of man is not man.
No, that's everyone.
That's everyone. But this woman, who is obviously a radical, she would say, well, we have to change that to people kind.
No.
Well, and if
How is that offensive? I don't get that. How is that word offensive to somebody? Do you see what I mean? If for the reason, the justification that it's offensive to them, we need to understand why they're offended by it more than, well, let's just change it.
They're virtue signaling, Tony. It gives them a chance to be the center of attention.
Well, that doesn't mean you then change it for the majority of the planet that is happy with those words as they are. And I know we want to be accommodating, of course we do. We don't want to unduly offend people, but when we get into this stage, it seems OTT.
What's this we business?
I'm talking generally.
You forgot who you're trying to accommodate. You can go do yourselves, my friend. I don't care.
Oh. No, you don't want to offend people unduly.
I don't care, Tony. Look, what did I say? I've said it several times. I'll say it for the sake of new listeners and viewers. Everyone has a right to be offended. No one has a right to not be offended. That's my guiding principle. You want to be offended, go ahead and be offended. It's your right. Don't tell me that you're not. You don't have. We can't offend you. Show me your memo from God saying that you are so special that no one can offend you. Nonsense.
Interesting. Okay, so what's your? I mean, we're getting close to the top of the hour, but we've still got a couple of minutes here. Do you? So you were quite accommodating with the term airman, and you were happy to change that to pilots.
All sorts of things. I'm happy to change male man to male person and things like that because
firefighter instead of fireman, because that used to be, and that's quite a common term now.
Yes,
firefighter.
But not that I think women should be firefighters. I certainly don't. There's been all sorts of studies showing that we are in danger because we have female firefighters. They can't carry their weight. They can't do they can't pass the tests that men in the firefighters
traditionally used to
have to pass. So they lower the test for everyone, therefore putting everybody at risk. That is certainly not how we should be proceeding. So, but there is no need to say fireman either. Even if we threw out all the women from the firefighting service and we went to firefighter, that's not a big ask. I don't mind. It's not a big ask. It's okay. It's the things where man is neutral and means everyone. So mankind, although I'm prepared to change, I would grumble a bit, to people kind. It's like, what's the matter with mankind? Because that's not what man in that sense. But that's been a bit pedantic for me, and I can understand if people don't want to go through the mental gymnastics of such pedantry. So if it just makes it life easier.
Well, life easier for whom?
For the people who don't want to go through the mental gymnastics that I've just been through.
So are you saying that we shouldn't change any of these, or we should? We should be accommodating.
We can change them. I don't mind too much.
So you think
it's not a big ask. And I think in some cases they're right. Because if the situation were reversed, I would be upset.
Why would you be upset if it was reversed?
Like I said, I don't want to be fem teach instead of man teach, if you see what I mean. I'm not fem teach. I mean, sometimes students get excited and forget and call me Miss. I'm like, you want to try again? And then we all have a laugh.
Yeah.
And then we move on. But if they were saying Miss because that was the new term,
yeah.
Well, no, I'm not Miss. You see
Because
what I
that's
mean?
how we understand the word to relate to, and so we get offended to it. But if I
Yeah,
said to
you're,
you,
you're misgendering me.
yeah, misgendering, and this is where it all stands from. If
Mhm.
I started calling you miss in a foreign language, you wouldn't understand. So it's the interpretation of the word that you hear that you say offends you rather than the word. It's your connotation on that word. So if I called you signorina,
Uh,
right, and you did
yeah,
not know what that
I
meant.
actually do know what
Oh,
it
well, you
means.
do, okay. But if I'd called you that, you wouldn't know. You'd think, what's he calling me? So you wouldn't be offended by the word, even though the word is representative of female.
Yeah, I could call you Obiring.
Yeah, I wouldn't know what it meant.
Yeah,
So
I
it's
no
my
idea what it means.
translation and understanding of the word
Mhm.
that makes me feel offended. So it's me being offended if I was choosing to be offended with the interpretation of the word. The word itself is not anything, it's just a description. But how I interpret that word is where I get the offense from. So if people are getting offended by having man in the language in certain places, now you're right, it shouldn't make a difference to change it, but we should also question, why are you getting offended? We need to ask that. Why? Why are you offended?
I think your argument has a little sophist. It's a little nice, and I'm worried about it.
What do
There's
you mean
nothing
nice?
inherently wrong with the word donkey, but I don't want to be called donkey. Inherently, there's nothing wrong with donkey.
No,
It's not. It's not. It's not negative
but
as
it
negative as
is
say idiot.
because the
Okay.
way our language works,
Mhm.
we have associations. And if I made up a new word
Puppy,
now,
puppy.
kaplink, kaplink, kaplink,
Mhm.
right? I've made that new word
Don't
up.
you dare call me Kaplink.
But you see, we could start using that and use it. It depends how I frame it, is our interpretation of that word. And that's how language derives, isn't it?
Mhm.
We make an interpretation based on it. And it's also how the word is pronounced, as well as what the word actually means.
Mhm.
Because if I'd have said, oh, come on, Teo, don't be a donkey. They're really cute and sweet. I don't want to be like that. You wouldn't take that necessarily in a negative way because I've framed it in a in a soft manner, joke and jovial manner. But you could call someone, that absolute donkey
Mhm.
with power and passion, and now it changes the meaning. So it's not just the word, it's the way it's said and the person receiving that message. So there's a lot of complication here, and it's just changing words to accommodate a small number of people. And in real terms, they are small who may be
I'm not
offended.
sure that's right.
Well, we do. We need to
Supposing
question this.
supposing a male woman, a post woman, a post woman came to the door, and she was standing there, and quite obviously a she, not someone that would confuse you because you couldn't work out what the hell she was. But if a she, or someone a
Yeah, yeah.
feminine she, and then the little your daughter or whatever called out to you, "Daddy, Daddy, the postman is here." I mean, if she felt misgendered, I wouldn't blame her. It's like you're saying, if I am a if I'm a teacher, what am I talking about? I am a teacher. If I show up, if I show up to teach to tutor someone at home, and the little girl screams to her older brother, uh, "Peter, Peter, Miss is here." I'd be like, "What's the matter with your oink of a little sister? Why is she
Okay.
calling me Miss?"
Are
You see
you
what I mean?
offended by that? Or are
Well,
you just like, okay, I'm confident enough in who I am not to actually be worried about it?
no, I'm not worried about it, but it's still wrong. It still makes me think, why are you calling me Miss? I'm
Well,
not Miss.
are you
And
bothered about it? Are you
once it's a mistake.
offended? Question, are you offended?
In the first instance, that very first time, I'd say it's a little girl making a mistake. But if she keeps calling me Miss, at some point we're going to have a little chat.
Yeah,
Like, look, do you need me to draw you some diagrams that could
okay.
possibly
But
get me
when you
into trouble?
clarify the situation, you're not offended, are you?
If she keeps at it,
Why would you be offended?
because she's keeping at it.
Okay. And is doing it to wind you up.
It
But
must
if
be. If
somebody
I
does it
said
once and apologizes, should you be offended?
no, not even apologize. You don't even need. But if you just do it and you're not aware, you're actually I'm not a miss. I'm a mister. And oh, okay, sorry, and a mister. Well, it's done.
Yeah,
But
exactly. But some people are offended at just that point.
no, I don't think that's the case. I think they're saying they need a change of name because an airman is for a man and an air woman is for a woman. The trouble that you and I are having is what's the matter with woman? Because woman then actually designates your gender. So what's the matter with it? That's where we run into issues. We've identified your gender correctly. And just because it sounds man, you don't have to then sort of be too pedantic about it and go, yeah, I'm not going to accept that because it's got the word man. Then that begins to get silly, like mankind. It gets a bit silly at that point. But if we can accommodate people and just by very easily just getting air person, who cares?
Okay. So I'm mindful of the time. We've gone way over than we would have liked. So what's your final conclusion? Should we change a lot of English words where it contains man and remove it altogether?
Hell no.
Oh, okay.
Load of bollocks, isn't it?
Oh dear.
We might, and I'm happy to, but feminists have behaved in a way recently where they have lost my support completely and totally. So I might, where I would have done it unquestionably 5 or 6 years ago, now I'm probably just digging my heels and just go, you've gone too far with all this. I no longer care what you think or want.
Okay.
Even though secretly I think it's probably
all right.
okay. We really should.
No. Unfortunately, again, we can talk at length of this, but we have reached the end of the show for another week.